So let me tell you a little bit about Reverend Andrietter Earl. She's a well-known leader. She's a life coach. She's an author and a teacher with decades of experience in both corporate and spiritual settings in the San Francisco Bay Area and beyond. She has engaged hundreds, if not thousands, of people in conscious and intentional living through an adoption of proven spiritual practices. In 2009, Reverend Andriette founded Heart and Soul Center of Light, Centers for Spiritual Living affiliate. Hey, that's when we started too, so we're running parallel here. In just over 10 years, she has grown Heart and Soul Center into a vibrant, world-class teaching and empowerment ministry. She has been an exceedingly popular instructor at the Holmes Institute School of Spiritual Leadership for more than a decade. What it says in her bio is that as a teacher, Reverend Andriette embraces creative spiritual processes to support self-actualization and transformation. And she has invented ingenious methods for inspiring others, including creation of a transformational board game. I'm all over that. I got to see that. Speak Your Word, the Freedom Game. Readers of her monthly column from the Science of Mind magazine, From the Inside Out, cite her as bringing a tremendous heart, a healing presence, and a great enthusiasm for transforming one's life. She's also the author of Embracing Wholeness, Living in Spiritual Congruence, and is the creator/producer of Heart and Soul's weekly video blog and podcast, Point of Power. Needless to say, Reverend Andriette is a sought-after speaker. But here's what I know about Reverend Andriette. First of all, I adore her. She has been my co-facilitator and co-chair of the CSL Ministers Council for all of Centers for Spiritual Living, for all the ministers at the Centers for Spiritual Living. And she brings something that is so unique and beautiful to our Minister Council. I can't even imagine doing the Ministers Council without her. She is an amazing person with a huge heart, and I just love her, and I'm proud to call her friend. Please give an Ahavian welcome to the one and only Reverend Andrietter Earl from the Heart and Soul Center in Oakland.
Thank you, Soni. Thank you. And good morning, Ahava. Thank you, Justin Norris, also for that beautiful rendition of Michael Gott's song. Soni, let me give a shout out, first of all, to Heart and Soul and my amazing team that is here. I can't even say bright and early because as I came over, it was still a bit dark. So I just want, when I was asked, when I gave them our call time, which is 7 a.m. our time, Pacific time, of course, the question I got was, why? What? And I said, because Soni asked me and I love her. And they're like, oh, okay. They know what love will do. So, Soni, I love you. Y'all at Ahava, I want you to know what a precious jewel you have. Not that I'm not pretending you don't already know, but what I know in spiritual community is often it bears reminding. You have a precious jewel in your midst. I love her so dearly, or we would not be here at this godly hour. So, with that, I want to let you know that Ahava and Heart and Soul Center of Light have so much in common. Soni is right that in those early days, as we talked about the fact that we both founded, had founding teams for our spiritual centers in 2009. I think y'all were about May or a little later, but we were November of 2009. So we are just right there together. And I consider Soni my sister. So in addition to that, we are both using Adventures in Faith. Adventures in Faith is our 2020 theme for the year. Actually, it was our 2019. Sometimes we get a little carried away, just so you know. If it gets good to us, we just put it on repeat and we just continue doing it until we're done with it. So what we've added to that is expect a miracle. Because in this year, 2020, we are in divine expectation of a miracle, which means we are doing our work. We are also declaring hashtag 2020 in 2020. So there's work. It's a call to action. It's a call to depth. It's a call to expansion of our consciousness and our spiritual practices. So I am so grateful for this theme of looking at what would we love? Because 2020, first of all, because most of us, if not all of us, have been sheltered in place for at least some of the time. That has left us with time to look at who we are and whose we are and what's going on in us and what changes we can make. So this question of what would we love goes right to the heart of what is it that we're passionate about. What I loved was in Michael Gott's song that Justin Norris sang, Nearer Than the Air. Part of the lyric says, all I ever wanted, all I ever needed is already there. This is a moment when we can look more deeply to see what is my heart's desire and how far away from it. The master teacher Yeshua that the world ultimately came to call Jesus has been said to have said these words, that the kingdom of God is at hand. It's not over there. It's not after the next class. It's not in the new relationship. It's not the year after next, after you have a birthday or after you move or after anything. It is at hand, which translates to right now. Right now, in this very moment, all I ever wanted, all I ever needed is already there. It's like the air I breathe. Imagine, if you will, if we came to that understanding, to that awareness, that right where we are, the whole perfect and complete nature of the divine is having its way with us according to our willingness to be receptive, to be open and available to the divine. That's what I've come to talk about. Look, in my preparation for this experience, to share this experience with y'all this morning, I came across this blogger's work. And here's what Lee Drogan is. I'm making up the pronunciation of his last name, but here's what he says. He says, most people are basically just doing what they're told or what they think they're supposed to do. And no, this is not one of those they don't have the ability to follow their passion because of economic issues or physical issues or blah, blah, blah. More often than not, they really simply do not have the passion. Translate to the willingness to know that right where you are, right where we are right now, everything required for the journey is provided. Because of that, I want to share with you, kind of in contrast to that, one of my favorite quotes by T.S. Eliot. He says that only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go. So this is me calling you out. This is me encouraging you to go too far. Rather than check yourself in your passion, check yourself in your willingness to be all that you can be. Instead, have somebody have to pull your chain back. I think sometimes that's why I have a crew. That's why I have a team, so that they can go, okay, Rev, you're going a little too far now. You're doing too many things. Because I believe our calling in life is to go the full distance, go as far as you can possibly go. Because it is in that stretch that we determine, oh my goodness, I can do more than I ever thought I could do. Some of us have had a physical challenge, and we thought we you'd have to limp, or you didn't know that you'd be able to lift your arm high enough to do it. And then the circumstances were such that you had to go further than you realized you could even go. And you ended up not just reaching there, but working the thing out. Not just limping along, but walking in it. Not just, sometimes you caught yourself dancing to the right kind of music, just when the thing comes on that you can't do. You can't just sit there and allow it to unfold. This is what I'm wanting to ignite, because my passion is really to engage and inspire imagination in a way that folks feel empowered and inspired to transform their lives according to their vision. So this is me doing my thing, living my passion, calling folks out into a higher and greater expression. Yeah, something in me lets me know that I just need to say to you, I love you the way you are. I'm not saying anything is wrong with you at all. This is not a criticism in any way, shape, or form. I love you just as you are, and you're going to have to change. If you intend to stay on the planet, if you intend to be here tomorrow morning, you're going to have to change, because it'll be a new day that requires a new thing from you. I love you. Here's the thing about passion. Our passion is a powerful thought vibration. This is why it's so important for us to be in touch with, to have an awareness of our passion, because it is a vibration. It's a frequency. See, there are those things that you do, just as the brother said in his blog, there are those things you do because you're told to do them, because you got to do them, because you have to, because you're scared not to do them. This ain't that. I'm talking about that you do, that you would get up out of your sick bed to do. And often I have. And it makes my life work. My life comes alive when I am up to what I know as my passion. It's like a powerful magnet. Our passion sends out vibrations and exerts a force sufficient to attract a piece of metal several times larger. Your passion is your thing. It will work magic, miracles in your life. This is for the uninitiated, though. It's only magic and miracles if you don't know how this thing works. If you know how life gets to be the way it is, then you understand this is not magic, nor is it a miracle. This is instead exactly me working the law, and the law working me. This is me fully engaged in all that is required of me, because I'm taking up space on the planet. And if I'm here on the planet, and I am, and you are, then there is a calling on your life. There's something that when you awaken that in you, it straightens out the rocky places. It gets you to your end zone. It gets you to accomplish all that you intended, what you're here for. I've come to tell you that our passion is a mighty, mighty force. So here's the idea. With enthusiasm, I'm going to encourage you to think about what it is you live to be and do. This is one way that Gary Sinek talks about getting to our why. And I think our why reveals our passion. So I live to, in my case, engage and inspire imagination. I tell stories. I'll tell jokes. Y'all know, my people will tell you, I'll dress up in a costume. I'll hop on one leg. I'll do pretty much anything other than sing on mic, aloud so other people can hear me, because that just, you'd forget what the message was. But look at here. I will do whatever is required to awaken imagination and inspire folks so that they will be empowered and inspired to transform their lives. Because I can't transform anybody's life, but I see the opportunity for transformation. And so my work is to illuminate the opportunity in a way that folks are awakened to it, drawn to it, desire to be a part of it. That's what my passion is. My sense is that if you use this little how to get to your why to, then you'll get a sense that you live too. And once you're in touch with that, it opens up the life that is available to you. In the song, in Michael Gott's song, he says, I feel the love of God. I am touched by amazing grace. That's that moment. It's that moment where you're touched by amazing grace, where you feel that the world is open to you. You have your niche right there. You are rocking and rolling with who you are and whose you are. And you are living in the field of amazing grace, such that everything is available to you in empowering ways. Here's the thing, though. Orison Martin tells us this, that we often demagnetize ourselves. Remember I told you that your passion is a powerful magnet? But we often work hard to demagnetize ourselves by wrong thinking and lack of faith. That is to say, those are those moments where we talk ourselves out of being you. I talk me out of being the fullness of me. I'm not even going to tell you all, because you know the things you tell yourself, that as you tell yourself these things, you literally are getting shorter and smaller in your own universe. And so the idea here is what that's doing is it's demagnetizing you. It's demagnetizing your passion, your enthusiasm, your connection and engagement of spirit. He says we see only the obstacles. In those moments, we see the problems. We see the people that are going to be obstacles for us. We see what's in the way. And the more we look at them, the bigger they get. And the smaller we are. Yeah, we're like they were giants and we were grasshoppers. It's that idea where we begin to see how it wouldn't work and we become the experts on what won't work. It was once our vision. It was on our treasure map. And now we're talking about we're the experts, we're the masters about how it's not going to work, how nobody will come to that class, how we're already failed and we've not even begun. And it's all in our mind. He says we forget that we are humans working with God, that as humans working with God, that God is greater than any obstacle that can oppose itself, and nothing can oppose itself to his will. That's where I want us. I want us in that awareness. Ernest Holmes says this. He says that the power within you responds definitively to direct conscious thought. That's how life gets to be the way it is. It responds as a mathematical law. Now, you know, when we start talking mathematical law, we're talking about the exactness of it. It's not that if it's on a good day it works. Mathematical law puts in our mind an awareness that this is absolute. Oh, this is going to work this way all the time. No matter where I am, no matter how I feel, no matter what I say, this is going to work. It's about cause and effect. It's that absolute. That my work is to get in alignment with it. Mine is to find where's my spot in this, because it's good. I just have to find where I belong in it. I've come today to tell you something. There's a spot for you, and you are the spot. There's a light that you are, that I've come to engage and ignite your imagination, that you might see yourself active and engaged in a new way in your life, that you transform your life into your vision, into your heart's desire. You see, Ernest Holmes reminds us that no one can reverse your use of this law. No one. Now, they can say some stuff to you. And if you allow yourself to be vulnerable to others' opinions and ideas about what you should or ought to do, you're doomed. He says, therefore, you not only have some power at the center of your being, you have access to all the power there is at the center of your being, not in other folks. All the presence there is, and to the only divine, the living one, the strong one that there is. I've come today with a message that a passionate dream, one you desire to accomplish, it's hard to keep from yourself. You have to work to not be in it, to not have it be so in your life. And often we are working against ourselves. I know it looks like him and her doing it to you. But in truth, if we look more closely, and I want to inspire you to look more closely in your life and see what's really happening. See if it isn't you doing you. In those instances, when you feel put upon and you feel like your heart's desire is not acceptable, I want to encourage you to hold your own counsel. That regardless of all the negative thoughts currently filling your mind or that you're hearing on the airwaves, you must teach yourself to think in more positive ways, to think in more open ways. It's your responsibility. There's no magic. There's nobody who can make you think better about you. You're going to have to make that your life's work, to see yourself as whole, as perfect, as complete. I'm not pretending that's easy. I came to this teaching out of a time that I call when I lived under the bed. And I call it that in my own, I'm not out speaking about it necessarily that way, but that's how I call it. Oh, that was the time when you were living under the bed. And it's because I was hiding out. I was literally in a dark night of the soul. And while there, here's what I found. I was no longer me. The me that I loved, the me that had proficiencies, the me that had skills and abilities, the me that had personality, the me that was a light unto the light, she didn't exist under the bed. During that time, I was sleeping days and awake nights. Now, anybody who knows me knows something very wrong with that, because that's not who and how I am. But I was in literally a dark night of the soul from which I did not know at the time I would ever emerge. And then at 3 a.m. in the morning, when I would have ordinarily been asleep and never seen this, never would have ever seen this, it was a broadcast of Terry Cole Whitaker. And I remember kind of leaning up on one elbow, kind of with a, what's she talking about? And she was talking about affirmations. And I remember writing something down. And I just said that over and over and over and over. And what I learned later, because I didn't understand then how life got to be the way it is. Now I understand some of that. But then what I knew was that every thought that I was holding was diminishing my sense of me. I was turning into somebody else. Frankly, I was beginning to think I had turned into something else. I didn't even have a full sense of my embodiment. So it wasn't even a somebody else, it was something else. I had lost my sense of the purpose of my life, or the value, forget the purpose, the value of my life, that I deserve to be here. And whatever this affirmation was, I posted it everywhere. I just wrote it over and over. I said it over and over. And what I began to notice was that other conversation, all of those thoughts that I had been, the information that I had been taking in about me, it got more quiet. The affirmation got louder. My self-criticism and self-resignation and denigration got lighter and the volume of it was eventually turned down so low I couldn't even hear it. And I was forever changed. My prayer is today that somebody hears something, that somebody heard something in the song, that somebody heard something in the prayer. You see, Neville says you can experience your heart's desire through the use of your imagination. Come on, imagination. You imagine in the worst case scenario, so I know you're good at this. You have already worked out if you do this and you do that, you won't have enough money too. Well, use that imagination to begin imagining what if it all works out? What if it says nothing is impossible to your imagination? What if, just for drill, your imagination is unlimited? What if? And if you can't bring that to bear for yourself, if you can't reach that, if you're like, Rev, I'm going to need you to come back another week because I'm not clear I can do all that with my imagination. I'm going to invite you to try it on just for drill is what I say. Just for drill. Don't commit to it. Don't believe me. Just say, you know what, since she spent her time getting up early coming in here, I'm just going to try this. For the minute, I'm not going to commit to it. I'm just going to try it for tomorrow. When I get up tomorrow, I'm going to try it. And if it don't work, I'm going to tell Rev Soni to tell her it don't work. But I'm going to tell you this, you better have tried it all the dang day. Because if you have a report about what doesn't work, we need to review that you really worked it. Because here's what I know. It works if you work it. It works when you work it. I know it works. And I dare you to work it. You see, love. Love is the fulfillment, Ernest Holmes says, of the law. So this is me saying we might have to call on a higher love. We might be required to call forth a higher love than where we've been hanging out. See, what I know is there's no way for you to avoid love. You are loved. You can pretend like you're not. You can live your life in such a way that you are unaware of the love in which you live. You know, who you are and how you are is in love. God is love, and you are, you know, all of that. But I know that we can live in a way like when I lived under the bed. I had no connection with being loved or loving. Lost to myself. Not answering the phone, not answering the door. So those who loved me couldn't even access me during that time. So I understand how dark it can be. But I want to remind you that Dr. Ernest Holmes said love is the fulfillment of the law. It's present, it's there. Only through love, he says, can the law fulfill itself in your experience. Get thee a higher love. Wherever you're playing now, that's good, and I'm proud of you for playing at that level. But I'm going to need you to get a higher love. Because remember 2020 and 2020? The transformation. If in fact, I think most of you, if not all of you, already know that a part of the mission and vision for Centers for Spiritual Living is a world that works for everyone. That's going to require a higher love. Come on now, to a person. I know you're doing your individual part, but you're going to have to up your game. I've come today to say, yeah, all that's good, and I appreciate you. But you're going to have to up your game. You're going to have to bring a higher love in order to fulfill the law, in order to have a world that works for everyone, where the children are fed and cared for, where the elders are honored and safe, where folks of color are safe, where women are honored and included and valued. We're going to have to bring a higher love, y'all. Ernest Holmes says you can never make the most perfect use of the law of your life unless your use is motivated by love. Bring a higher love, to whatever it is you're up to. I'm going to ask that you join me in prayer right now. There's a part of me that feels like this message could just go on and on. You know, I have a service after this service. And there's a part of me that feels like that this talk in me, the passion that I feel about it, we can just do the part 2. But in truth, everything in me feels like I've said enough. It's a mic drop moment. It's complete in me in this moment. And that what I ask is that you join me in a vibration, in a frequency of a higher love, of a greater knowing, of a deeper, wider, higher empowerment, and call to be and be more fully. And so right where we are, I ask that you join me in knowing, even as I am willing to know that I know that I know that there is one life, that it's the living one, that it's the strong one, that right where I am right now, the whole perfect and complete nature of God is permeating the entirety of my being. And that what is true for me is simply true. It's not what is true for me is true for all of us. That each and every one of us is breathing the breath of the living one, the strong one. Even as the living one, the strong one, is breathing each and every one of us. That we are each and every one of us living the life of the living one, the strong one, and the life of the living one, the strong one, is living us right where we are right now. The whole perfect and complete nature of the divine is and is having its expression according to our willingness, according to our divine availability. So knowing this unity, this unification of each and every one of us with the... in Scripture it says, I and the Father are one, but that feels like that's too many. So I have found myself saying, I and the Father be one. That the divine in me is being me. That in my own human way, I am being the divine. And so in this, I am acknowledging the amazing power that each and every one of us has. The power to shift how things are right now. Because how things are right now are but an effect of a cause set in motion by our collective consciousness. So this day I speak this word that we ignite a higher love. And because love is the power of the law and causes the fulfillment of the law, this higher love is transmuting some of the mess we've gotten ourselves into. It's transmuting whatever it is that would cause the children to be fed and safe and educated in ways that honor their spirit. And that would hold our elders in an exalted place, in a safe place, in an included place. And people of color and women, that everyone, I don't have the time or attention to try to name everybody in every group, that we shift, that in embracing a higher love, we embrace everyone. All humanity recognized as humanity. A world that works for each and every one of us. Father, Mother, God, I just give thanks. I give thanks for the clarity that it's up to us. That we have everything required, including the amazing grace. Oh, I'm giving thanks. Giving thanks for this opportunity. Giving thanks for this word that vibrates my vocal cords. Giving thanks for the way that it resonates in my beingness and my consciousness. Giving thanks for knowing that it cannot possibly return void. But that it's a power unto the law and must absolutely produce in like kind. It is an absolute perfect gratitude that I release this word into the perfect activity of law. That I rest in this, that I know that it's done and done well in the divine and the living one and the strong one. I know that it's done, and so I let it be. And I just seal this for all eternity by saying amen. Ashe. And so it is.